Welcome to the world of Rouge. I am Oliwia Rouge and Shredy is here with me. This is now the 15th episode, right?
Yes.
But for some reasons, for me, it feels like it's a new world is opening right now. Like my journey is leveling up and I accomplished something very big this week. I finished a very huge chapter. Yes.
Yeah, this is amazing what you went through in the last year in general, how the whole transformation happened and, not only in business, also in personal life and all the resonance that we see and some is positive, some is negative. Some people are very impressed of what we are doing, but they cannot acknowledge it. So they try to send you toxic messages and things like this. It's amazing how...
Yeah, it's such a huge mix between like accomplishing very nice things which we create or which we planned, and now I could like close something because like I decided that it's like time to finish it. But on the same hand, during the week, like there's still toxicity coming up, which is not coming from me but from others. So every week has like something that is so beautiful and new energies opening, but also like energies coming from the outside that try to disturb it.
Yeah. It's amazing how when you in the past did your own like old Oliwia and you didn't achieve things how you wanted, you didn't, and many people didn't have any problem with that. They liked you, how you were. But now, when you create things and you pursue your passion and you enjoy every moment of what you're doing, it is amazing to see how the environment is irritated. As if when you're creating something amazing, you remind many people of what they should do. So kind of, and they try to dismiss it or to make it look bad.
Yeah. It's weird that they get triggered and instead of taking it and not put it up on me, they do it and they put everything up on me. Or if they mistreat me like verbally, that they cannot apologize for it. Even if they try to apologize, it comes with so much toxicity, and then they are like mad at me because I don't answer or I don't go for it. Like I don't get dragged in this mud anymore, and this triggers them even more. Like, why cannot they just apologize properly and just admit that they hurt me or tried to hurt me with their words and with their like aggression? Yeah.
The basic communication skills. Many people, especially here in Europe, honestly, have been too privileged to see or to acknowledge that they made a mistake, to apologize if they make a mistake. They're too privileged. And many people went through some kind of a different kind of life. So they expect that they also violate the boundaries of others, and yet the others whose boundaries have been violated, that they will apologize. This is how they are like. It's amazing how people are programmed sometimes.
Yeah, this is really amazing to see. Like really, because this protection, you might think that this is the most beautiful thing one can get, but sometimes it can stand you in the way so much. And sometimes I thought, oh man, I face some difficulties. Why? Then you put yourself like, a role of, I shouldn't have had it like more easy. But now the longer the journey gets, the happier, like not happy, but maybe the more I acknowledge that it was for like very positive. And because I developed certain skills that they still lack. For sure, there's a lot of room to grow, but at least I would say I can acknowledge if I did a mistake and I can communicate it. And it's crazy how many people just cannot.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm sure that we will have a lot of talking about this subject. It will also develop and let me hear. We've chosen a question in this episode, like regardless of the subject of how we started, and this is one of the viewers wanted to ask about public speaking. So I will ask this question for you first, and then we see how we move on from there. The question is, what personal obstacles did you face that you didn't anticipate when appearing in the media and speaking in front of the camera? And what advice would you give to someone who has never spoken in front of a camera? This question is for both of you, also and thank you very much.
So the first question is like, I see two parts in it, because when I'm speaking in front of the camera, I don't have the feeling that I received a lot of negative feedback yet because of the speaking in front of the camera. There were obstacles though when I started the journey, but they were not connected to this topic. So if I stay only on talking in front of the camera, I would say that first of all, I really love to talk in front of the camera, like always. Like I don't feel like I have difficulties to present myself. That's also why I really liked to do it, like this whole journey. But it's also a matter of training, for sure. Like, you know it sometimes that I could have do this better and other things better, that there's still like room for me that I also see to grow in how to present things. So I think it's a matter of, do you really feel like you want to speak in the front of the camera? Because some people just don't feel comfortable with it, right? They need a lot of training and trying it out and just doing it. And because it's also a skill, you have to train it to know how to do it. You might even say it's like a small profession on its own. As no one can just turn on the camera and speak perfectly from the first time. For me, it took me years to do it.
Yes.
Yeah. And can you like show me the question again?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so what advice I would give is like to really just put the camera in front, not with the aim of putting it out there into the world, but in the beginning just to speak just for you, to find like some comfortable topic that one like to talk about, and then just to rewatch it. I did it and do it a lot of times, that even if I do voice messages, I hear them again and again, because it's a difference on how I sound when I do it, how I feel like, how I look like when speaking, and how it looks then when it's done. Like so many times when I was doing a video and I was recording it, I felt like, oh man, this hand where I placed it, or how I do the voice and the words that I used, and I maybe lost my thoughts. I feel sometimes so chaotic when I'm doing the video, but I try to continue it until the end. And then when I rewatch it, I feel myself like from a different, and I see myself from a different perspective. And then I'm like, but this looks actually okay. This looks actually pretty natural. And also the break in the sentence, or like how I created the thought, is like also good. Yeah. I mean, I'm very lucky that we can also talk about it, which also helps me to put this into perspective. But you can like just give yourself time to rewatch it and rewatch it. Also, like sometimes I just leave a video there. I don't watch it for a whole day or 2 days. And then when I have a little bit of emotional space, I open it up again, and I have sometimes different feelings about it. Yeah. But what I do regret is when I just stop the video in the middle. Because sometimes we think, oh no, this is not good. And then we just stop it. And then I rewatch it. Like just recently I had this and I was like, that was perfectly, it was a good video. Why did I stop it in the middle? So just keep it until the end. This is like something like what I would do.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's like talking on camera or on stage in the theater, or show like as an actor or as a singer or as just public speaking. It is one side. There is a profession to learn or a technique to master. But even if you don't have this technique to master, because it requires a lot of things that you need to know and to be aware of. But also, if you didn't study it, if you are authentic and truthful, then and like kind of authentic and truthful, and you have something to say that is more important than your ego, then those theater, camera, they are now mediums that you can use in order to deliver the message. And when you're honest about it and when you're authentic, there are people who would want to listen to your message. And I think that many times, even if you didn't study acting or something like this, but you come with a lot of authenticity and honesty, and you want to share really your thoughts with people, and you have a message to deliver. So kind of you already have a lot of advantages when it comes to your public speaking.
But like, would you say that someone who feels like super shy to speak in front of like a camera or in front of people, I mean, they can learn it to a certain degree, or do you think they can learn it like fully to overcome themselves and to speak in front of the camera? Because yes, I have like a lot to share and a lot of thoughts, but also I really, really like to speak in front of people. It gives me joy to present things in front of people.
Yeah. First of all, if somebody doesn't like it and it's not his passion and you don't want it, then forget it. It's not. I'm not talking to those people at all. Mm-hmm. I'm talking to people who like it and who want to go on screen and to talk on camera or to be on stage and to communicate an idea or a thought or a vision with an audience. Only to those people I'm talking. People who are not interested in this thing, then it's not relevant to them at all. And those people who are interested in this, but they are shy, then being shy, it has to do with your ego. Being afraid of the public, of the audience, if you like to talk on stage or on camera, being afraid, you need to ask yourself where this is connected to your ego. Because if I am on a stage, if the ship is sinking, and I want to go to tell people a message, the ship is sinking. We say, oh my God, what they will think about me? Oh, I'm shy to tell them the ship is sinking. I will not. My ego is not relevant anymore because there's a message that is bigger than me. So here, I lost all my shyness. I lost all my fears because there is something that is more important than my ego. And this is also when you go on stage. Do you have a message so important that you need to give your audience? Or you're busy with your ego? How do they see me? Would they would laugh at me? Would they? I would go. I'm not. If the ship is sinking, I will not think like kind of. Oh, they will think that I'm lächerlich, that I'm ridiculous. I will go and say, guys, in my weirdest, most ridiculous way, and I'm not controlling the narrative, and I'm not controlling my image, and I'm not thinking about my ego, because I'm having something important to say. Because I'm having a message, and that message is existential and it's connected to life. And I need to, so kind of my ego is not relevant anymore. So you are shy, you are afraid, there is work that has to be done on the level of the mindset before even talking about the content of what you're going to say. Because this is always going to be a blockage. Because people see like kind of think about if I'm thinking that sinking the ship is less important than my image. I know that there's a hole in the ship, but I will not say anything that people will not laugh at me. And they will not think that I'm ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of a prophet you are? What kind of a messenger you are? So
I like this picture because this puts it into this existential perspective, and we all can, I think, connect with it. When there's really, really something important, you stop reflecting on how others perceive you. You just go for it. So this feels like to me good to know for someone who wants to start it, no? Because like newbies who start to doing videos or want to present things, if you don't know it, I think it's then difficult because the fear of being judged is like then more important when you don't have this knowledge.
Yeah, if you're dealing with something nihilistic, with something vain, something irrelevant, something that is not so, you're not sure about what it is. So of course, then there is nothing existential. I mean, here's the thing also. When we are living in a society where artists get paid by the government, they lost connection with life. They lost connection with survival, with reality. So everything that I'm talking about here is irrelevant. We need to measure art in general in a one standard economy, in a one standard system, not a system for artists who get paid, but other artists pay. In this system, you cannot measure competence. You cannot measure the value and the quality of the artist. So those artists who can afford doing like this, be getting nihilistic, and yet get paid by someone, by the public money, this is not an indicator. Because there is somebody who's manipulating the game in the background. I can talk about it when all of them are bound to the same system and the same rules that have to do with real life. An artist or somebody who's inspiring, who's coming for a reason. It's not someone who's kind of just here as an opportunistic intention in order to parasite upon the system and call it, I'm an activist, getting paid by the system and yet being activist against the system. This is confusing because then people think that this is an artist and this is an artist. What actually is the system? What do we know? How can we measure things? How can we know what is right and wrong? Yeah, there's a lot of chaos.
For sure.
So such questions and such the quality of the performance can many times be vague, nicht messbar, no, not measurable. Because then, you're like this, but they're also fine and they also they perform and they make living out of it. But you need to look in the background, what's happening. So the moment we reduce all this noise to real life, where there's no privileges for specific kind of people who get paid by vitamin B, by nepotism, then we can talk about precision and nobody can gaslight us. Yeah, but I know an artist who's this, trotzdem. Anyway, they make, yeah, but I know somebody's like this and like that. Of course, in this chaos and this noise and confusion and distractions, it's impossible to know what is right and wrong, and to detect the phenomenon. But in a system where the quality of the performance dictates the resonance of how it's going to be perceived, then we're going to talk a different set of rules. And there are many things, there's many technicalities, and there's a lot of techniques in order to kind of make the performance and delivering the message more precise. But this is a profession that anybody in this economy will tell you, you don't need to be a professional actor, you just have an intuition, because they get paid by the government, so it's irrelevant to think about it as a profession and as a technique. But if someone wants to master those techniques, you need to get out of the brainwash, of the program. And but anyway, it starts, even if you are like kind of you don't have the technique, if you have authenticity and honesty, and you care you care about the ship more than your image, then this is already, you are like 10 steps forwards than even professional actors who don't care. All they care about is about either their monthly income, or like artists. So kind of, and that's why also even actors, when sometimes you see them on stage or on screen, there's something that's called reciting, where somebody is like, think about, I'm talking to you like this, and now you laugh because you understand what I'm talking about, because what I'm talking about is reciting. It's not natural.
Yeah.
So kind of, this is bad technique. This is bad education. This is bad acting education. That it became so mainstream because of nepotism that people stop thinking about what is right and wrong. What is good performance? What is bad performance? You have actors in the theater reciting. Who are you to tell me you cannot do that? Or this is not a... But how can you deliver a message like this? Because the audience will see the dissonance between the logos and the pathos, between what you say and the emotional state, and they will start looking at them. They lose you.
Yeah, for sure. So that's also what I'm unlearning here and at this whole journey. Because as you say, it's so much in the mainstream, and I consumed also many of those videos, or like I saw some pieces that were exactly like this. And if you don't know, then you think, okay, this is how this should look like. So there were also some videos that I did where I thought that I had to step into that role. And the feedback was like, yeah, but then you lose your authenticity. Like, stay authentic. Connect first with your emotions that's there and the message that you want to deliver. And this feedback, what it gave me was like a big relief. Relief, right? Yeah.
Yeah, relief.
Yeah, a big relief. Because then you don't have to fake anything. Yeah. That's funny because I just said like I really enjoy like to talk to people, but this is like I really enjoy to talk to people, but that's for sure not everything. Like this is only helping me to deliver the message, because for sure I also have many things that I would like to say, because this is everything that I want to share, is everything that I experience in my life. And I have like experiences in my life, things that I see, things that I feel, and I make up my mind about those things. And then when I have like an opinion about something, I want to put it out into the world. What's like really beautiful with art is that if you have these techniques, whether it's like talking or it's dancing or it's singing and so on, you can then like modulate. Like you can adjust the message to however you want to present it then to the world. This is like really, really beautiful about art. And that's why I think it's also so exciting to educate yourself with different techniques.
Yeah. But unfortunately, when it comes to this thing here, the theater industry, the film industry, like talking on stage, somehow like has been so much dictated by redaction and political agendas and commercial agendas that actors lost their sovereignty and their authenticity just in order to comply with who's paying the money. So now we are very deep in the unconsciousness, where even the audience doesn't have a reference what is a good performance actually is. And there's also, I'm not talking now even about the amateur scene, which is the amateur scene, they will get most angry if you tell them something like this, because they want to believe that they are naturally artists, that they naturally have an amazing intuition, and they're naturally, and the moment you tell them, no, there's a technique and there's a profession, and people, they will, no, who are you to decide what art is? Who is supposed to decide what art is? They come with all this aggression. So it is impossible like now to communicate about this, because on one hand, as a hobby, you like to exercise your art as a hobby, go for it, enjoy it, learn from it, transform, grow, that's totally fine. The moment you take money from the government, you're not a hobby. You're stepping into a different scene paid by my taxes. If you're a professional artist, it's fine, be a professional. But don't talk about professionalism when you take money from the government, from my taxes. So because I'm paying my competition. I'm an artist. Because of my art and my abilities and my qualities, I don't get paid by the government, but yet I can exercise my art and live from it. So there is no debate between me and a bureaucratic artist. They need to come and to learn. They get in that place because their technique is not complete, because their education is not complete. And I know that I went to many theaters and acting schools here in Berlin, and actors stand on stage and they recite. They recite, which is considered to be a crime in the art of performance. It's a mainstream, but it's a mainstream. And they close their eyes and they make something like this as if I'm supposed to be impressed by their closing their eyes, as if they're feeling something. No, I'm not interested in how you feel. I'm interested in what you want to say, how you inspire me, what you come with. Don't go playing those games in order to show me how deep you are.
Oh my God, this is so funny. Yeah, but it is really like this. Just yesterday I got a feedback from like a theater play, which I don't know it was considered amateur or not, but when the person was telling me what she saw in there, I got like cringe, you know? And I thought also that if you get cringe, that's maybe the part of it. You know, that you were cringed out because you were like provoked in a way. So es gehört dazu, it's a part of it, like a part of this language. Yeah.
You know, I don't care if you're cringed or a part of this language, if the audience pays the ticket without subsidies from the government, without money from the government. Mm-hmm. We cannot, this is the thing, we cannot measure it. What kind of cringe is that? Because if it's paid by the government and there's cringe and audience comes full or like half of it, I cannot measure the quality of what that cringe is supposed to mean. But if the audience, if the hall is full, ausgebucht, fully booked, the theater, all of them, nothing, no subsidies. They chose to watch the theater play out of free will. Then this cringe is amazing. The people chose to see it out of free will, and they are financing their performance without hanging on the tax money. Then I can measure things in a different way. Then I can acknowledge, wow, this cringe is a piece of art. I need to see it. Like I need to, but I cannot measure this cringe and that cringe and treat them the same word cringe, you know, or whatever definition. And many theaters that are failing to appeal to people because they're not inspiring. You know, many lousy artists, they would like to call it with names like the culture should not be capitalistic. You know, they want to live from the money of the taxes. So they formulate it with sentences like, culture should not be capitalistic. Who said that culture should make money? Who said, so many justifications why the performance and the art should not be high quality. Because they cannot deliver high quality art. They cannot deliver high quality performance. So they want to brainwash everybody that capitalistic is not good when it comes to culture. No, you want good performance, let people get inspired by it and decide how. Don't underestimate the intelligence of people. People know what is right and wrong. They have a collective judgment. They know what the universal values are.
Exactly. Like there is like this universal judgment, right? Because what I'm thinking about is like also some people, they have been to so many theaters and they have been also educated and their families went to it. So since they were little, they know how this whole system works, right? And there are people, they didn't had like so much, they weren't in touch with different art forms so much. And this is what I'm thinking about, that sometimes when people are not like educated or not used to go to see, like, for example, some modern pieces, it doesn't matter what it is, they just think like this is weird what they're doing. And I'm like thinking, but isn't there like also good modern art? Shouldn't there be like a good like piece and art that even people that never go to a theater, they can feel that there is like a deeper meaning and they get touched? Doesn't matter of their artistic education.
Since the dawn of history, everyone consumes spiritual input, storytelling. The Bible is full of stories. And the Bible has been performed on stages, and all the religions and the Greek mythology, and there have been art since the dawn of history. It is not even people who are not going to the theater, they sit at home and they watch TV series, they watch performances, they consume emotional and spiritual input constantly. Whether this input toxic or the pure, this is a different story.
But it's like presented differently, right? It's like, for example, with music, or like you said about TV series, there's like this typical telenovelas, and there is like Greek mythology with a super different language, with more complex dynamics between the people presenting it. Or like there's like this typical Schlager or pop, which is always the same rhythm, 4 chords thingies, and then there's like jazz. So someone who's like listening to Schlager only or to pop, and they come to listen to jazz, they might get overwhelmed by it, right? But if it's, for example, a very good jazz piece, like very, very, like really well done.
Yeah, but again, here we are lost in the chaos. Because tell me which Schlager is not financed by the German Ministry of Culture? And if it's in which state? Tell me which jazz is supported by the Jazz Academy, or by, when we speak about, I need a constant economy in order to be able to measure and to start to dedicate a thinking for the quality of the performance. Because without that, anybody can gaslight me. Anybody can tell me, yeah, you're an artist, this is an artist, you're both the same. He's even having a car and a villa. You don't. Because he's living from the taxes, and he has, some politicians. So everything looks the same. So it is impossible to measure the quality of the performance, of the performance, when they are being promoted by the public relations machine on the media constantly, and they have some relation. It is impossible. So the jazz is not the jazz. Theater is not theater. Film is not films. We need to see the big picture behind in order to be able, like, if somebody is getting paid by the government, I tried sometimes in the past, but I immediately lost interest in it. Some people have no reference, so they watch it because there's no other things. They're happy to hear something in their language, something that reminds some kind of, But I lose interest. But in order for me to start to want to see or to make a judgment, I need to know, first of all, in order not to waste my time and not to waste my energy, I need to know that those artists are really make it on their own. And then I will be impressed. Until then, I'm not impressed. You take money from funds, I'm not impressed. You take money from the welfare system, I'm not impressed. You can have 1 million followers on Instagram. I'm not impressed. I need to see who you really are. Your fan base is real because you inspire them. Because you have a message and they follow you, not because of some kind of agendas. Not political agendas or commercial agendas. Because you have a universal value that you carry with you, and they're looking for it.
And others can feel it, that this is like genuine and true. And this is what makes them like want to see more of it.
Yeah. And that's also when an artist living all his life from the government, how he can stand on stage and talk about sovereignty. and believe in it authentically. He's not himself is not sovereign. How can he will say, people, let's talk about sovereignty, because he knows that he's not sovereign. How he can talk with such conviction and all those emotional powers and spiritual powers to support what he's believing in? He knows that he's compromised. And when you have all artists, I would not all say all, but let's say 99.999% of artists are being already compromised, how can they dare to stand on stage or on screen or in front of a microphone or in front of a camera and to say and to deliver the universal values?
Because, the whole system supports it. They support each other. This is so obvious when you're saying all those things, and I understand it more and more. But it's like, for me, I'm learning the definition an artist now, like true definition of it, I mean, there's not like we know from artists from other timelines or from other countries. So it's not that I never were in touch with artists who did their art, sovereign. We all know it, but yet I live in a system that is surrounded by not sovereign artists. So, and this is like the closer reality to me. And now I'm learning, okay, so this is like to be an artist, and not like, I'm an artist, and everything thinks like, they don't know anything about life. No, you are an artist because you know about like life. And you know how to share your experience, and you want to share it so others also, to create a deeper value and a reference and show what's really important. Yeah.
I mean, it is not easy. It is the system has been so manipulated, and the measurement of things have been already hijacked a long time ago. So it is even, it became like dangerous to talk about it. You can really hurt people's feelings by saying these things. Like, not everyone, but many people who want to be, just like you said, if you're an artist and you have a message, your insight, you are here because of your insight. What you see, your vision. And if you are just a puppet, immediately, that's why also when I see many times I see German films, and I start to watch, and I see kind of an actor like this. You're a job center spoiled boy. No, you don't know anything about life. I see it in your performance.
Wow.
I see it in your performance. You don't know what it means to have a business. You have no idea what it means to have a business. You're in the Sozialmarktwirtschaft. You've been subsidies and Stipendien. You have no idea what to have to a business. You cannot play the role of a businessman. You cannot play the role of a hardworking person because you're a privileged boy who has a connection with that politician. You never worked. You get the Stipendien without even working to finance your studies. You can see it how can you bring those actors to performance? They are little children playing men. They are little mice playing tigers. It is impossible. You cannot see. When you want to see an actor or a performer, you are after that insight of life, how deep they researched in life. That wild tiger, how free he was, and how. But then you see little mice being put some makeup to portray them as tigers and lions, and no, we see that. That's why also the German film industry doesn't sell any place in the world where people really work genuinely and produce genuinely in this protected Sozialmarktwirtschaft. For what you cannot easily scam people. That's why you make a film. You put it in the archive. Or you put it on Netflix where the rating's so low because nobody wants to watch those films.
Yeah. So they don't have like this sovereign life experience plus bad technique.
Yeah. The bad technique is also something, because I know it, because those actors and directors who are born into certain families that are privileged, they don't need to study. They already have intuition. They don't need to know a technique. They don't need to know psychodrama. They don't need to know dramaturgy. They don't need anything about anything because they are already born in the right family. So kind of, they think creating storytelling and film and theater is a matter of intuition. The economy is collapsing because of that, and they're still not getting it.
Yeah. Yeah, what I'm thinking is like that intuition or like authenticity is like very, very important. It's like at the base, but it's not the only thing to have. You are building from it, right? And then all the technique comes onto it if it's a good, or like good technique, you know?
Yeah,
good
but you know,
tools.
even before talking about the technique, sometimes a director wants to have a film, and in his film wants to have a child or a dog. Let's say a child. The child didn't study acting. He doesn't have a technique. He's coming just pure.
Yeah.
And he still also his intuition and his honesty was still not destroyed. So it's much easier to access his authenticity as an adult who's already full of agendas and brainwash and opportunism and interests and hormones. And so when it comes to a child, he doesn't study at university acting, not yet, but at least he's authentic and charming. And many children made big films. So authenticity comes before technique. Because even if you're not authentic, even if you have great techniques, you will not be... the ethos is already saying it. But anyway, there's also bad technique. People are not authentic and also having bad technique. And this is... anyway, the system gives them money to create art. That's why it is impossible to measure the quality of the performance.
So for them, it's important is only to where you are born into or who do you know?
Yeah. Or you play the game running after the gatekeepers, finding, many communities, bringing the right people. People come to connect with others. You bring what they are looking for, finding a girlfriend, finding a boyfriend, in order for the community to stick together.
Yeah.
Like in a theater or and then just fill the Förderungen, the funds, and you can sustain that and keep calling yourself. I have an ensemble. I have.
And then present it right.
Yeah, and who will tell you no? It's nobody can prove otherwise because this is the mainstream, and it became so accepted. That is, but again, if you want to talk on camera or on screen, in the theater or whatever, and you want to talk with confidence, this is a work that starts much before the technique. It starts much before standing on stage. It is years of consistency and authenticity and truth and self-esteem and understanding that the ship is more important than my ego. And this is a whole different mindset.
So what is my message?
Yeah, also what is your message? What do you want to say actually? What are you standing on stage for?
Yeah. I'm really happy that we're talking about it. I think it's so important that we are doing this and saying sharing this knowledge that you have. For me, it's like very inspiring, and I feel that the more we talk about it, the more real power I feel in me, and it makes me so motivated to discover what are the messages I want to share with the world. It gives me the confidence to go into myself and really be okay, I have a voice and I have a lot to share. How to share this? How to share my life experience, my life message? Because before that, a very, very long time, I was sharing my, I was putting myself in front of the camera, but with much less confidence, because I always perceive myself from the perspective of someone who didn't like study it at university, you know? So I thought, okay, this is the most important thing you should have done. But now I feel so proud that I have so much life experience and so many things that I went through, and also this drive to share what I experienced, that hearing and having this conversation with you, it makes me even more on fire to this, and it's like a lot of creation or creativity.
Okay, yes. I'm happy.
Yes. Yeah, me too. This is amazing. Yes. Can we
we finished. We need to start to wrap it up.
Yes, really? Yeah. Okay. Yes. Okay. I need to let it sink in also. And thank you for this insight. Sometimes I ask like questions and then you give like this answer and it makes like so much sense when you're saying this. But yet it's like this new knowledge popping up. So you say something that is like, it's just reasonable, you know? And then I can like expand also my perspective. And I start like seeing more and more of these things that you're saying, like when I go out into the world and I find more and more of these things that you say within myself too. Yes. Yeah. Thank you for this question. It was a lot of fun. Yes.
My pleasure.
And
thanks to the one who asked the question.
Yes. And for the next week, we have another questions and another topics, which I'm also excited to talk about it. Yes. So we wish you a lot of fun with this episode and see you next week.